Alright folks, I will be starting in just a couple minutes. Sorry I'm running a bit late. Got hit with a terrible migraine and so it's taken me a bit longer than usual to get set up. But we'll be starting in just 5 minutes. Less than 2 minutes. Enjoy the tunes while you wait. How are we doing, folks? Welcome. Sorry I'm a bit late. I got hit with a migraine, unfortunately. I had one this morning. Been ages since I've last had one, but got hit with one this morning and thought, oh, it'll probably be fine. And it cleared up. And then I went to the gym and everything, was feeling fine. And then just when I got back, probably shouldn't have gone to the gym because it got hit again and the vision went away. But we've struggled through. I had to do some video editing as well today, so that's never ideal to have a migraine when you're video editing, because video editing fucking sucks. I hate it. Worse with a migraine. But here we are. I've got some wine for new folk on the stream. We've got a few new folk. My brain's not gonna work properly today. That's the main thing with migraines, the headaches and the fucking vision disappearing as something, but it gives you an awful brain fog, which is not ideal. But yeah, if you're new to the stream, what we do here, we drink some wine, we make some tunes, and you watch me get progressively annoyed about certain things. Today's plan, I've got things to talk about today, which makes a fucking change. Thanks, Carly Gremlin. Headache setting. I can see again. I was swithering over whether or not to do this. If I couldn't see, then I would have cancelled it. But I can see, so we're all good. I'm going to talk a bit about. I got a couple of things to talk about before we sort of fanny about as usual. Wokeness. That's so I just wrote a script for Wisecrack, and I'm gonna write something for another magazine in the coming weeks about the increasing left-wing attacks against wokeness, which is broadly and nebulously defined. I'm going to talk a bit about how it's bullshit, sort of prefiguring the stuff that Wisecrack will hopefully are happy with. Hopefully Wisecrack are happy with what I wrote for them on the topic. I'm also going to talk a bit about JD Vance, because JD Vance was talking about Scotland, and it's rare that the American fucking powerful elite talk about Scotland. So we're gonna have a wee chat about that and see what madness it is that they've been chatting about. But let's get the wine first. Shall we fill out the tune first or wine first? Let's do the wine first, because I kind of like this tune. And I'll do my wine tasting. We do a wine tasting here. As long-term watchers will know, I have the palate of a goose. I don't know. I don't know how to taste wine. It tastes like wine. I can tell the difference in red and white. I'm pretty good at that. But aside from that, we don't know. Do I like trains? I love trains. Trains are great. More trains. There should be more trains everywhere. Easy question. Right, let's get this wine tasted. So this wine came from my fridge. Neither myself nor my flatmate knows whose it is. Probably not mine. Maybe it was brought by someone to the flat, but we don't know. It's called Oscar's Quevedo. 13%. So that's a good percent. What does it say? It says, "Hello, Angel." Ugh. I'm taken against this wine already. Hello, Angel. Ugh. Thank you for stopping by for a glass of wine. My name is Oscar, and I live in the Douro Valley in Portugal. This white wine results from a blend of traditional grapes grown in the Douro Valley. Arinto. Cool. Made with grapes. We're off to a good start. Then it's got some words. Goveo, Viocino, and Moscatel Gallego Branco. Or are these white? These are more grapes. More grapes. There's just a weird gap between this. It has a lively tropical fruit flavor. A lively tropical fruit flavor. Try saying that after you've had a bottle of this. And with a white pepper touch. While on the palate it's fresh, smooth, and quite tasty. Well, it says it's tasty. So let's see. Let's see if I can taste any of the tropical fruit flavors or white pepper. And I'll be the judge if it's tasty or not. I'm not going to overdo it today because I've got so much video editing to do. John the Wankin, exactly. Sounds quite a lot like John the Wanker, but we'll drift past that. I can confirm it smells like wine, so we're off to a flying start again. I don't taste the tropical fruits. I don't taste the white pepper. And I'm not sure it's quite tasty. We'll see how it sits after a while, but this wine might not have been the best choice. Whoever left this in our flat, fuck you. Alright, let's fill out this tune. You better put the lid on the wine. Not sure how to fill out this tune, but we'll see how it goes. It feels quite chilled out. Shall we see how I can fuck it up with some synthesizers? Have I ever seen I have seen Ocean's 13, yes. Is it Ocean's 13 a film that's become popular again? Yeah, I've seen Ocean's 13. Okay, we're on it now. I've now just overridden what the chords sound like, so I have to play it. There we go. That's quite nice. I think we can sit with that for a little while. Alright, I'm gonna have to bring this computer closer to me so I can see the chat better. They make the chat so small, don't they? Don't they make the chat so small? It's a shame for these old folks like us. Yeah, how's everyone doing? It's refreshing to see how other people in the world are doing, while here in the States every day is a fresh hell and a new nightmare. Hey, I mean, we are doing great here. Everything's fine in the UK, fine and dandy, isn't it? Nothing bad happens here. Nothing bad happens here. So where would we like to start? Would it help if we yelled? You know, it actually does help slightly. I can read that better. So you joke, but yes. Oh, I forgot to do the thing I was supposed to do, which is to set chat goals again. That's a new thing YouTube has me to do. But I forgot to do it, so I guess we're not going to do it. So, I wonder if I could do it now. I'm not going to check, because I'm a professional. Oh, fuck, I forgot to tweet. I forgot to tweet that was live. Fuck's sake. That was an incredible timing of me bragging about my professionalism without doing the one thing, which, you know, you're supposed to do when you go live, which is tell people. Give me 1 second while I tweet it out. Alright, there we go. Professionalism achieved. So, shall we start with woke? Shall we get on with make sure to skeet about it? I don't know what that means. Let's start with woke, because that seems to be the topic that is occupying everyone's fucking time. And it's fucking annoying. Which is my academic opinion. So I guess, in case anyone doesn't know, to set the context of what's going on in the world of... What the blue... Is that what they call it on Blue Sky? That is absurd. Just call it a post. I can't be bothered going on to Blue Sky to do it. Someone else... I've already posted about it. Someone else do that. So, yeah, in the wonderful world of left-wing politics, the very serious world of Bleat is good. I like Bleat. Bleat is good. I like sheep. That's the thing. At least I know who has the I don't know who has the notifications on. How do I know who's got the notifications on? Fuck, I'm bad at my job. I've only been doing this 5 years. I should get better at this. Yes, so in the wonderful world of woke, there is basically the left-wing chauvinists and members of the media class, media and academic class, who are very serious about a great many things, from a universalist program of global revolution to selling their books. They are increasingly concerned about woke and about the death of woke, whatever this means. And with their concern comes a certain amount of support from some, let's call them Atlantic colonists, the Atlantic colonists, and they are supporting some of the attacks, the Trump administration attacks on diversity, equality, inclusion, and accessibility. My wokeness level is about to reach 9,000. Basically, this is the what this whole spiel is going to end with is basically me saying that I'm just getting more woke. Fuck it, I don't give a shit. We're getting more woke on this channel. I'm going to start doing land acknowledgements, and I live in London, so fuck you. Just because fuck you, the people who are against woke. We're going to take it a level higher just to be annoying to those people, and to make a point. But like these sort of media columnist, academic left-wingers talking about how woke is the destruction of fucking the left movement as a whole. They all say basically the same thing, and the two main things that I want to sort of press them on. First is the notion that hello innocent fugitive, how are you doing? First is the notion that these attacks against diversity, equity, inclusion and accessibility are just ephemeral representation politics within institutions like academia or whatever. That these are just meaningless entirely. And it's like it's a nuanced argument when you're talking about diversity and inclusion initiatives in certain spaces, because it is certainly true that diversity initiatives can be completely ridiculous and looks like I found a clip of the US Army doing its diversity and equality initiative, and it's like, yeah, fuck off, get a grip, you imperial death machine, soaked in the blood of centuries of people, and you want to be diverse? Cool. And it's like, sure, that stuff is silly on a fundamental level, but the more sort of serious side of that sort of diversity and inclusion politics is that it represents essentially a co-option of particular movements within the state. That co-option is, when there was, feminist movements, gay rights movements, even labour movements, civil rights movements, racial justice movements, as a way to essentially buy off social movements, you give them specific rights and specific access into the machinery of the state. And that not only provides material concessions to those movements, it allows them to buy into the state machinery. And this isn't something that is confined to identity politics, however broadly you want to describe identity politics. This is a fundamental part of all hegemonic co-option, which has included the labour movement in every Western state and most states in the world, because the major the New Deal was buying off labour movements. Welfare states in Europe buying off labour movements, giving them rights and security within the state to head off potential revolutionary fervour. That was an explicit goal of FDR's Green New Deal, to buy people off away from socialism. That's not a fucking stupid brain fog. I'm not speculating. That was explicit, and that is the case with welfare rights movements, with social democracy across Europe and the Western world. They were co-opted into the state, and that's a similar process has happened with potentially revolutionary, potentially challenging social movements across these what we might call identity politics areas. Yeah, take your hegemony squares and take a drink. We'll hit neoliberalism at some point today as well, and if you're lucky, genocide. So, when we say that diversity, equity, inclusion are methods of co-opting state particular movements, that's true. But it doesn't. It's not necessarily wholly negative, or I guess to be more precise, you have to be specific in what your critique is saying when you're critiquing that. So you have to say, representation within the state can never solve the core problems and the underlying issues of oppression as it's produced within capitalist, white supremacist capitalist hegemony. Can never solve those issues. But when diversity and inclusion is being attacked wholesale by a far-right government, the first and immediate manifestation of that is an attack on the attack on the existence of trans people. Secondly, it's an attack on labour rights, because a lot of these diversity, equity and inclusion initiatives are labour rights protections to stop people from being fired for discrimination. And I don't understand, I understand, but I don't understand how left-wing, supposedly left-wing people can cheer on what is obviously an attack on labour rights. That seems like something the left should be pretty keen on protecting. And this isn't just in the US. You have this trend spreading across the Western world because, you know, our government are fucking the lapdogs, the cucks of the US, just like begging them to notice us. And, you know, Starmer does the same sort of shit. You setting up a LGB without the T fucking initiative like a fucking coward that he is. And soon enough it'll be just the same thing. There'll be breaches and attacks on labour rights of any minority group. And women as well. And like some of the, obviously within the US, these are some of these the attacks on women's rights, women's labour rights and women's bodily autonomy are tied together. Fundamental labour rights issues tied together with sort of with attacks on bodily autonomy. And that's the sort of first dimension of this that's been pushed. Oh, it's good that they're attacking DEI because, you know, isn't that good? And you're like, well, what the fuck? What are you fucking talking about? This is bad. These are attacks on labour rights. The attacks on labour rights are not going to stop. These wouldn't be legitimate if they did stop at you, but they won't just stop at white male workers. They will continue to attack the labour rights of white male workers as well, in general. Because you'd think that they're just going to suddenly be like, oh, we've dealt with woke. Let's make sure to leave it at that and leave the rest of these employment protections secure. No, they're not going to do that. You fucking dipshit. You absolute fucking rube. When you've got a direction of travel in a general ephemeral world of woke, Wisecrack saying, turning in late, so you might have talked about this, but I do wonder what some of the folks on the left think they're doing when they critique this stuff, that they're being more working class. Alright, here's my specific thought on why people are doing this. I think, and this is true of people like Vivek Chibber, I think it's true of like so many of the academic turned columnists who talk about this shit. I think they're annoyed about their colleagues. I think that's what a lot of it is. People from the left who attack it, who attack woke, as ephemerally defined it as it is. I think they're mad that a colleague... I've disconnected. And we're back on. Like, I was listening to the Vivek Chibber interview. We're back. Yeah, the academics are after me. The academic lobby has been trying to shut me down from the start. I listened to the Vivek Chibber interview, and it was about like wokeness and shit. And it was boring. There wasn't much interesting to say there, but he did go on about how women's studies departments shouldn't exist, which is weird. That's a weirdly specific thing to be mad at, Vivek. And I just kind of think that's, oh, you're just mad at your colleagues. That just seems like what it is for them. I mean, for a lot of the other ones, I think it also is just that they're kind of racist. And to sort of contextualize that historically, this is what I was going to say before as well. I think that the specific form of racism that they're doing is a long-standing historical trend within left-wing thought of the Universalist project. It's a So the project that they're promoting is one it was spoken about, discussed by Marx against Feuerbach, against like various other sort of left liberal socialists of the time, who put up a sort of universalist ideal from which to pursue socialism. This is a sort of idea. This is a similar thing where you see people say like socialism and Marxism is a liberal. It's the fulfillment of the liberal promise. That's a very common thing you hear from particular sides of the political spectrum, of particular kinds of socialists or Marxists. And I don't think I think that a lot of this anti-woke stuff comes from that tradition, that liberal tradition. I'm gonna talk about what this universalist project means. It means in liberalism, you have an idea of universal values, universal rights. But within that universalism is a necessary exclusion, because there are always people. Disappeared again. And I'm back. Again, the universalists are after my Wi-Fi. The interests of these people are supposedly crystallized within the interests of a universal who ends up being, white man. Alistair, it's my Wi-Fi seems to be cutting out now and then. I don't know why. We'll see if it fixes. So a really good example of this universalism is in the realm of human rights. Yeah, I'm in the process of so in the realm of human rights, universalism would be everyone has the same rights and everyone has the same interests, and that is a kind of, within that you're creating an idea of a specific political subject, the political subject who holds rights, and with that political subject you're assumed that everyone, all rights, all political issues can be consolidated within that one political subject, that one universal rights holder. Philosophy Noir says, shameless plug, but I did a video on the current rise in intellectualism and it's just fascism, anti-intellectualism and it's just fascism, all whining about gender studies and women, exactly what Nazi attack they want to kill truth. Yep. That sounds interesting, and cheers for the super chat. So, liberal tradition, human rights, you've got a universal rights holder, a universal political subject. This political subject, generally speaking, is considered to be the white man. In socialist traditions, this ends up being specifically the white working man. So you end up getting a universalized ideal where the interests of the white working man in the global north get expanded and universalized so that it's those interests are the interests of everyone. So you get the universal subject of the proletarian revolution, the waged white working man, because they're the ones within the liberal socialist tradition who have the power, who have the revolutionary subjectivity, who have the potential to be revolutionary actors. Anyone outside of that realm, unwaged workers, women, slaves, even peasants, are often excluded. Now this is obviously ahistorical because most revolutions have not occurred from the perspective of the waged industrial labourer. They have happened through peasant working and a massive contingent of women. So there's a sort of empirical deficiency already with the universalist waged worker thesis. We all following so far? So the universal tradition then sees any deviation away from the interests of the waged white working man as a deviation away from, as a division of the working class, as a deviation away from the universal project of socialism as defined by those universalized interests of that specific political subject. So when you point out that, say, there are material differences between segments of working classes, between the global north and the global south, when there are differences between segments of racialized populations of the working class, when you point out that there are differences between those who are included and those who are excluded and selectively excluded from the labour market, which includes disabled people and often women, then you're told that you're dividing the working class. Because those aren't the universalized interests of that white waged worker. And people have been talking about this for fucking centuries. This is not new. Fucking Marx talked about it in the difference between the Irish and the English working classes, and how those different groups had different interests, and how the liberation of the Irish would require the Irish workers and could never be achieved through the English workers, because the English workers had distinct maintaining divisions. That's centuries of work. But there isn't an alternative form of universalism which can exist, and which is the basis of solidarity. And that is a universalism which accounts for those differences and tries to build a political project which can solve them all consecutively as part of one thing, or a diverse project. So it's when you recognize that there are divisions within the working class, when you recognize that there are interests that the global north workers have in maintaining a preferential position over the global south, but you say, well, this is solidarity. We fight for socialism, we fight for communism anyway, even if we may be hurt in certain ways due to that. And that's the basis of solidarity. Solidarity is not, we all have the same interests, exactly the same interests all the time, so any struggle is necessarily the same. Solidarity is recognizing divisions and fighting for them regardless. That's a basic of solidarity. And there are particular ways that the universalism, the sort of left, liberal, socialist universalism appears and is quite obviously false. And a good example of that would be something like when people say that Palestinian and Israeli workers have the same interest in joining together. You obviously go, well, that's fucking bullshit, isn't it? There's a settler colonial dynamic at play, and while they may both be workers, one has a settler colonial position of preference and a position of domination required on the destruction, genocide and exclusion of the other. So there clearly are differences which require overcoming, not just overcoming the workers within a factory system. That's a very clear example where universalism doesn't work within this tradition. I don't know. Even within the human rights, this is actually what gets me about the sort of universal. Jacobin does this all the time. Oh, we shouldn't be dividing the working class on things like woke. We all have the same interests. They always order things like sexism, racism, things like that, they always order them as second tier issues below general, abstract, waged white working class labourers' interests. They're always subordinated to sexism and racism, ableism. They're always subordinate to that one level. But even in the human rights world, there's been a general trend in overcoming the universalism of human rights, because they recognise that, well, obviously, for a long time, the preferential treatment of white men within the general discourse of human rights has been bad, not just for human rights standards, but for human rights as a discourse, for human rights as a project, a collective project. It lost legitimacy because they recognised that this kind of universalism doesn't work. It just excludes. It overrides and excludes. So within even left liberal views of human rights, they're like, well, we need to account for various different conceptions and views of humanity outside of the narrow tradition of liberal bourgeois rights flowing from the French Revolution. And they come up with concepts like relative universality or overlapping universality, where they try to do this exact thing, which is to expand what it means to be universal, to incorporate critiques and to incorporate alternative issues beyond what we would immediately think of if we understood the ideal political subject as a white Western man. But hey, maybe I'm just the fucking socialist who's too woke. Anyway, that's my critique of universalism and the specific ways in which types of socialists use it to do what I'm going to say is just racism. And just sexism, to be honest. I mean, I was reading a collection of Federici essays just last week, and she was writing in 1975 in the Wages for Housework that the moment that Marxist feminists started organising on wages for housework, on any kind of justice for women, on centering women as political and revolutionary subjects, as soon as that happens, she was told, 1975, oh, you're dividing the working classes. You're inhibiting the movement for global progress by picking up on this shit. And the story doesn't change. And that's why I'm only getting more woke. Because that shit annoys me. And if I'm anything, I'm fucking obstinate. This wine is tasting better after the first glass. Hello Jay, I hope you're doing well. Philosophy Noir saying, also ignores the way that these issues are literally linked to capital. Yeah, I mean, if you're on this channel, you will be familiar with all the various times in which I've spoken about how class relations are not just a wage-labour relation, but a diverse form of relations to capital. And there are differentiations depending on identity positions within these broad social relations. I'll talk about Marx's method in 1 second. So, the social reproductive relation that women in general, and largely still hold in society, despite the fact that women still are largely within the workforce, is a specific social relation to capital. It's a specific class relation. When you are doing unpaid labour for the reproduction of a commodity, whether that commodity is labour power or not, then you have a specific class relation to capital. And that is distinct from people who do not do that. And we still see that women do the vast majority of social reproductive labour in society, whether unwaged in the home or within the market sphere. That is a capital relation. It is not something that can be overcome within the factory only. Universalizing the factory wage labour struggle does not account for it. Can't account for it. As someone clever said, if your socialism isn't intersectional, it isn't socialism or some such. We could try global and intersectional. I mean, intersectionality, I have theoretical quibbles with the limits of intersectionality as a framework, but I get what you mean. No, we should not let people get away with dividing the working class. Dividing the working class is doing something like saying, those immigrants are the reason that your life is shit. That's dividing the working class. Dividing the working class is saying, we shouldn't give we need to delay your liberation for the liberation of this specific wage labour group. That's dividing the working class. The false project of universalism, universalizing this mythology of the white working man, that's the division of the working class. It's not accounting for migration. It's not accounting for specific gendered relations. It's not accounting for race. Those are the things that are unifying the working classes. And you're the fucking people who divide it. I'll tell you my quibbles with intersectionality in just a minute. First, Marx's method. We're on it today. I'm working through my brain fog. So I think one of the reasons why people get confused, aside from their general and underlying racisms and sexisms, about who the revolutionary subject is and can be within socialism, is because they confuse Marx's work of abstraction for creating an ideal, and an ideal then is what we should strive towards. It's idealism. So, within Marx's work, when you're doing an intellectual abstraction, what you're doing is not creating a sort of ideal. You're not saying, oh, this is an ideal which tells you the truth, the core essential truth about the world. You're creating a fiction to then invite further questions. So when Marx talks about the role of the labour relation within capitalism and the abstraction that high level abstraction in which he talks about it, what you do is you don't idealize that abstraction as the truth. You ask questions. So you say, okay, so we have these labourers who have this wage relation. How do these labourers exist? These labourers exist because of a whole stratum of other labour, social reproductive labour. That labour is gendered. So we're inviting further and further questions to get to a whole all-encompassing framework for reality. The abstraction invites questions. You don't stop at the abstraction. And a lot of the universalists stop at the abstraction. They stop at the wage workers, and that's the wall. They don't peek over the wall and look at all the various things that the abstraction then implies. And that's why they get stuck, aside from being racist. Stuart Hall's notes on the introduction to the Grundrisse, best example of how to do Marx's method. So influential, so useful for me. And so many of these anti-woke leftists should read it and read it again, and then sit in a corner and stop posting. Intersectionality. So, I've spoken about this before. And I think I spoke about it in my video on Lenin-style neoliberal feminism. By the way, that is, as mentioned, hegemony, neoliberalism, and genocide so far. So you all better be taking your shots. So it's not like when we critique intersectionality, I'm not saying that it's useless, that it hasn't been extremely valuable in pushing like progress on dealing with social issues, on broadening our understandings, and of interlinking, getting an idea of the relationality of how oppression works within society. I think I don't hate intersectionality. This is not like a epic takedown of intersectionality. It's a critique of its limits. And I think the first thing to sort of point out is that intersectionality was a theory which emerged from the legal school, from legal theory. And because of that, it came with specific ways of approaching questions, epistemologies. And these different ways, different epistemologies, tend to separate different vectors of oppression, different areas of oppression, as contained units in separate places, which externally to themselves interact with each other within a particular political subject. At its worst, it's a very individualistic kind of way of looking at things because of the product of it being a legal theory. At its best, it's not. At its best, it can be relational, it can do lots of good work. But there is a tendency within the broad sort of school of intersectionality to be individualistic and to conceptualize different areas of oppression, patriarchy, racism, class, as separate, ontologically separate, by which we mean sort of constructed from their essence separately and interacting with each other externally to that ontological separation. So the sort of place that I come from, like in contrast to that, is, and this is from a lot of the social reproduction work, is that these aren't ontologically separate categories. These categories are all dependent on each other for their inherent meaning and inherent construction. We can't have class as it exists without patriarchy. We can't have patriarchy as it exists without racism. We can't have racism as it exists without class, and so on and so forth. Any change in one influences a change in the other. These are all internally related within one broad system that we call we can call a totality. A capitalist, whatever, don't really care anymore if people call it capitalist or not, although it is capitalist. It's not techno-feudalist. I'm not getting into techno-feudalism right now. I'll do it another time. But, one totality. And I feel like that's a much better way of understanding the inherent relationality and the inherent connections between these things without it devolving into a kind of individualism and without it devolving into an ontological separation. That's basically the critique. That makes sense? Yeah, oppression. At some point, I'm going to read the techno-feudalism book, and then I'm going to have to do a video on it, because I know it will annoy me. And, you know, that's why I make videos, because something has annoyed me. The next one on green colonialism, I think, is going to be quite good. I did a brilliant Photoshop. Some of my best Photoshop work for an Elon Musk gag, and it was great. I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll have it out by Sunday. For patrons, hopefully we'll have it out by Saturday. It depends if I do any after the stream, and if I manage to do any tomorrow. Oh, thank you, Alistair. I'm going to leave you all for just 2 seconds, because I do need to go to the toilet. We're back in 2 minutes. Shall we, let's change up the tunes, and then we'll talk about JD Vance. But I'm feeling something a bit more upbeat now. I've done my discussions. I'm a glass of wine deep, so I'm thinking it's time for something more fun. And you know, talking about JD Vance is always fun. Get some sort of funk going. You know what I'm like on here. Let's do something like that. second. Let's get it. Let's get the treble on though. How did I fuck that up? We'll start out, right? Okay, well, we're gonna start. Can we play some strokes? And that's enough before I get sued. We got it. Wasn't feeling that. I need something else. I just mean that bass line, not the whole thing. Where's the cat today? The cat, I think, just went into my flat room's bedroom to sleep on his bed. I think we've got it. One second, I'm going to put on some synths on that last part. We're getting a squelchy fart noise at the end of this. I think that's it. We've got a tune. Now, who wants to talk about JD Vance? Another JD in the arena. This JD wanted to talk about fucking Scotland. Oh, we've already talked Fury. We're talking JD Vance now. What are my views on prefigurative politics? I mean, in the sense that we need to build democratic institutions, and yes, and how's it going? We need to build institutions that well enough prefigure to some degree. I don't think we could do this in any totalizing degree, because the society that we wish to live in is not one that we will always be able to make entirely. But yeah, I think the institutions that we work politically should be, as best as we can, indicative of the futures we'd like to build. So democratic organisations are, as valuable as possible. So J.D. Vance did a big speech. Fuck, I love that synth. Oh, J.D. Vance did a big speech in which he claimed that, among many things, among several things, we're not going to get into all of them because I didn't watch it, and I have things to do. Among other things, he claimed that in Scotland you can be arrested for praying. And Scotland's so anti-Christian that you can be arrested just in your own home, apparently. Someone just across in the building across from me just gave me a big old stare and a confused look. Not knowledge defense. I think I agree in when we can, we should strive for consensus decision making as much as possible. Sometimes it's not possible, so you do have to make decisions sometimes when consensus isn't possible. I think that's an unfortunate reality of organisational structures. I've been in enough spaces that have strived for consensus decision making and have gone nowhere. No decision has ended up being made, and sometimes decisions need to be made. Sometimes decisions need to be made rapidly. That sometimes have to circumvent even democratic majoritarian decisions. That just sometimes there's a rapid response that's required. So that's unfortunately the reality of it. And in Scotland you can be arrested just for saying you're English, but that's correct and true and good, and I think we all are on the same page that that's a good thing, that you can arrest and throw in jail anyone who says they're English, especially in Scotland. I think that's that's all good, right? No one's gonna disagree with me on that. But yeah, J.D. Vance said that you cannot pray. If you're Christian, you cannot pray in your own home, or else you'll get arrested. And that the government had sent out letters, the Scottish government had sent out letters saying that if you pray in your own home, you will be arrested, and encouraging people, neighbours, to report on this thought crime. So, your neighbours are always watching out to see if you're praying, peeking through the windows, making sure you're not praying in there. And I saw this, and I thought, what the fuck is he talking about? What the absolute fuck is he on about? I have no clue what this could possibly refer to. Turns out what he's referring to. So in the UK, there is a new, but only if you're Christian, apparently. The Christians are the most in Scotland. In Scotland, Christians are oppressed. In Scotland, apparently. what he was referring to is that in the UK there is a new bit of legislation, which is a rare good bit of legislation, which stops people from blockading and protesting abortion centres for outside of a 250 metre zone. So if you can't publicly protest and blockade abortion centres within 250 metres of that abortion centre. Good shit. Well done. Decent law. So, and it turns this applies in Scotland. It applies in England as well. I think Angela Rayner was the sort of spearhead for this legislation. Maybe Stella Creasy. I'm not sure. So what happened in Scotland was that obviously some houses are within 250 metres of abortion centres. And to be clear, abortion rights in the UK are really bad. They're fucked. You have to get, I think, 2 different doctors to sign off. It takes a long time. It's medicalised. It's not good. It's really restrictive. And it doesn't get talked about enough, just how restrictive abortion is in the UK. And a lot of that is the effects of religious lobbies. And in Scotland, we have strong religious lobbies. In Scotland, any school, almost any school that is not specifically a Catholic school is by default a Church of Scotland Protestant school, and they're still required by law to have a religious representative or philosophical representative, humanists are included, to come in and give a talk to students once a month. The way that this works out in practice is that almost always a pastor, a Church of Scotland pastor, will come in to talk to the students. You also have, within Scottish local authorities, you have education boards who control, to a large degree, quite a significant degree, the education policy in the local authority area. This board has 3 unelected positions. I think 3. It's been a lot. I did this research. Myself about 8 years ago now. These representatives have to be 1 Protestant, 1 Catholic, 1 of the other religions. What often happens is that they just put another Protestant on it, and they don't, or another Catholic, depending on the area, and the oversight for this process is hugely opaque. I know because I did research into trying to find out in a past job I had, trying to find out who these religious representatives were, how they were elected, any connections between existing councillors or existing members of local authority education boards were, and you couldn't find any information on that at all. But they were almost exclusively Protestant and Catholic representatives. They hold a huge amount of power in local authority education decisions. So, education, the power of the church in Scotland is immense. I mean, the Deputy First Minister of Scotland is a woman who publicly opposes abortions and has said that being queer is a sin. Far right figure, to be honest. Probably, if I was to guess, there may be some connections between the Deputy First Minister and right-wing evangelical institutional lobbies within the US, where this sort of bullshit might have migrated to. So Vance heard Yeah. It's from the one from Scott. The Wee Free. They're called Wee Frees. Scottish Free Church, I think, is the full term for them. They're fucking bad. They are right wing, anti-gay, anti-women freaks. So in Scotland then, this law, British law, in Scotland, because there were some houses that existed within the 250-metre radius of abortion centres, because abortion centres aren't put in the middle of industrial wastelands, they exist in places. Some people received letters saying, you are within this buffer zone, don't be a dick, essentially. Don't, if you put up like anti-abortion sentiment on your windows, if you heckle and abuse people from your properties, or if you use your property to launch attacks on these people, you're liable to a UK-wide law. This has been transformed by JD Vance and, the religious right in America into being arrested for praying. Are these the people that lock up playgrounds on Sundays? I've not heard that one, but it wouldn't surprise me. That is some Protestant shit. Yeah, so JD Vance is essentially siding with, projecting what is probably Kate. What's her fucking name? God damn it! I can't believe I've forgotten her name. What is probably related to the Deputy First Minister's religious extremism and the extreme right wing religious elements of Scotland. In promoting a far-right conspiracy that you cannot pray in Scotland. Scotland. Kate Forbes, that's it. I had Kate Hoey in my head, but that's another freak. But it's such an odd experience to be like, oh, the Vice President of the USA has decided that he wants to spread some bullshit about Scotland. That's weird. Wonder why Scotland's on the radar. It reminded me a little bit of when Trump, pre-president, came to Scotland to buy areas of special scientific interest in Aberdeen for a fucking golf course. And then Alex Salmond tunneled up his fucking anus and decided that he wanted, of course, to be part of that, to sell him those lands. Because Alex Salmond's oh, he's dead now. He was a fucking prick. Can I be sued if I talk about Alex Salmond's alleged sex crimes now that he's dead? I'm not sure. Why haven't the Scottish squatted the golf courses yet? Because Scotland isn't a progressive fucking wonderland that lots of people seem to think it is. It's just the fucking same as England, except less annoying. It's the thing about like the sort of comparisons that you get between Scotland and England. Like people are desperate to portray Scotland, Scottish people and English liberals, to portray Scotland as some sort of liberal wonderland. All the time, social attitudes in Scotland or England are basically the same. We've got our own fucking far right deputy first minister. Aberdeen's filled with Tories. The Kit Haring, no, not Kit. What's her name? The girl who was married to who was was it Rose Leslie, who played Kit Harington's love interest in Game of Thrones. You know, the you-know-nothing Jon Snow. She's very posh. She's from Aberdeenshire. Her dad owns a castle and was kicked off of the Conservative Council of Aberdeenshire for being too corrupt. Went into debt, and Kit Harington essentially saved him from debt. And now he's like a right wing. He's like, he ended up going to one of the right wing parties, like Reform or UKIP or something. Aberdeenshire's fucking filled with Tories. Perthshire filled with Tories. So much of Scotland is filled with people who are embarrassed to call themselves Tories because of Thatcher, but are essentially Tories. The only sort of saving grace that we have is that we're not as annoying as England. And that is... It's not nothing. It is something, but... Fuck. It is annoying. We talked about this in a group chat today. A lot of, like... It's like the fucking Glasgow shit. Alright, let's badmouth Glasgow. So many Glaswegians. So smug about being from Glasgow. It's not special. You're not special. People make Glasgow. Do people make Glasgow, aye? Well, maybe you're making it shit. I like Glasgow, but you're annoying. Also, Glasgow almost voted in Reform MPs. Glasgow voted in Conservative MPs as well. Fucking hell. Need to get over ourselves and recognise we're in the filth as well. I lost track of what I was saying. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna... I did see someone someone tweeted that after seeing JD Vance the past few months, you can really understand why his mother tried to sell him for crack. Good trade in the end, I'd say. Yeah. I can't remember what I was saying, but fuck Alex Salmond too. Fucking... What was it? 13 women that accused him of sexual assault. I still hear, and there were still tributes to him. Murrayfield holding tributes to Alex Salmond after he went through a court case where he was accused by 13 women of sexual assault. Murrayfield Stadium was still holding tributes to him. You still hear down at like local pubs, you still hear people say, oh, those women were just out to get him. Those women who spanned from senior civil servants to cleaners in hotels, all bound together, all banded together to get Alex Salmond. Yeah, it was a conspiracy. It was a fucking unionist conspiracy to bring down that great man. Fucking... That's the sort of shit that swirls around Scotland these days. Fucking Alba Party pricks. Oh yeah, he had sex with a couch. I forgot about that. I suppose that does make sense that the only person they want to have sex with him is inanimate. If he was so great, how come... Well, if he was so great, how come he was in Scotland still in the UK? It's because of the unionist records. Any accountability for the failures of the independence campaign can be brought down exclusively to unionist records. And there is no other accountability for that. It doesn't matter that the coalition that he tried to build for independence was fundamentally contradictory. It was the unionist records. Alright, we've managed 2 hours of me talking about things that I was intending to talk about. We never do this. Is there anything anyone else wants to talk about? Because that is all I was planning on today, or all I had planned for today. Nothing else has annoyed me. I guess, have I watched anything recently? You know what I watched recently? And I've not had a chance to talk about it. Fucking Ted Lasso. Yeah, have anyone seen Ted Lasso? And just know if you say yes, I'm about to shred it. Sarkar's new book. I've not read it. I'm not going to read it. I have so many books. I'm currently reading a book on the history of Chinese revolutionary communism. Infinitely more interesting. I have no interest to read Ash Sarkar's book on identity politics. I'm not going to do that. I'm afraid I'm not going to do that. Well, we can do. We'll do guitar equipment, and then Sinan. Then we can talk about Ted Lasso, because I got recommended clips of it as well, and I was angry. All right, guitar equipment. We have the loop pedal, which is a JTC drum loop. Great fun. Great stuff. We have a hardwire, which delay, reverb, and loop pedal. That used to be my loop pedal, but it only does 30-second loops, but it also has delay and reverb settings. I also have a mono synth. This is like a collection of pedals that I have bought for over the past 15 years. These are very old. The mono synth is very fun. That's where we're getting this like fun synthy stuff. I've got a DS1 distortion pedal, an ultra octave pedal, a spinning chorus pedal, which has various different settings, but I only keep it on the chorus because it's a bit finicky to sort of muck around with in a session. And then not linked up, but on the pedal board, I recently bought a pedal board, so much tidier. And I've got a Governor Overdrive stomp box as well. I do kind of want to buy a new guitar, not an electric but an acoustic. Cause I've not bought a new. I've never had like a good acoustic guitar. Never like a good steel string. But they're so. I went into the shop. I've not got a fuzz pedal. I've got a distortion and an overdrive. No fuzz. I went into the guitar shop and it's like £800 for a guitar, and I'm like, I got some money for my Christmas from my parents that I haven't spent yet, but it's still like, that's so much money. And I also just, I'm not sure I can commit to that yet, but maybe at some point. That's the setup, the pedal setup. Right, Ted Lasso. So many people were like, oh, Ted Lasso's great. What a fun show. So wholesome. Such a wholesome show. Such a fun, wholesome show. Very funny. Oh, it's so funny. Very wholesome and funny. It's such a good show. You should watch it. Top show on Apple, Apple also makes Severance. You like Severance? And I do like Severance. Severance is good. So maybe you'll like Ted Lasso. I didn't like Ted Lasso. I didn't like Ted Lasso at all. My hater era. Fucker, I've been on hater shit since I was born. I'm an accomplished fucking hater. Let me fucking cross my legs to get my hate on. Ted Lasso. This show is like... It's like if someone shoved a funnel down your throat, melted down sugar syrup, and just funneled it down your throat, and there's like, do you like this? It's very sweet, isn't it? This is very sweet. This funnel of sugar. Isn't it nice? And that makes it good for you. Because people are nice, aren't they? When they shove fucking funnels of sugar down your throat. People are nice like that, aren't they? It's a show which is so unrelentingly saccharine sweet that it loops round into being, I think, one of the more cynical shows I've ever seen. It's so... God, the Americans come off well in this show. The Americans in this show are all framed as like happy-go-lucky, just nice, just lovely, lovely people. They're all unrelentingly nice, and everyone else around them is made nice just by being round the Americans. We all just have to break through our cynical English shells to get to the lovely, nice Americans. And the sort of the whole... This really annoyed me. The whole show is surrounds an American football coach who comes to coach like British or soccer, British football. And he's like, oh, he doesn't know anything about it. He doesn't put any effort into learning about it. And he doesn't seem to ever be criticised on the fact that he doesn't know anything about it. He doesn't know things like how long a game is, and no one goes, oh, actually, maybe it's bad that you don't know anything about this show. Instead, it's sort of framed that you don't know anything about this game. And instead, it's sort of framed as this plucky outsider may not know everything about this funny little game, but he can come in and with his unrelenting positivity really tie a team together, really make everyone love each other. Emily in Paris, but Ted in Britain. It's exactly that. It's exactly that. Because I also did watch some Emily in Paris recently. Much more enjoyable than Ted Lasso. I put Emily in Paris above Ted Lasso. Absolutely. Less cynical. I mean, we'll talk about Emily in Paris in a second because it is hilarious and fucking bizarre. But at least it's like odd and kind of quirky in its own kind of ill thought out way. Ted Lasso is just cynical. It's just like, oh, no one's like, I don't know how to describe how everything just feels like, oh, America's so great. Aren't Americans great? And aren't British people wrong for not being as happy-go-lucky as Americans? That's the fundamental core of the show. And I'm just like, nah. Fuck you guys. Don't come over here with your fucking positivity. Try to make my life better. I'll drag you into the filth. You're not bringing me up. I'm bringing you down, and you're gonna fucking enjoy it. I will not accept that. I accept some level of sweetness. I cry when I watch videos of cows. Quite often. Yeah, that's not an unusual occurrence. But I will not be preached to by a fucking American about being nice and happy. It's that American thing where it's like, where the happiness and the niceness and the sort of politeness is all just like skin deep. It's like Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise smiles all the time, but under his eyes there's nothing there. It's like a shark's eyes. He's just constantly like, nothing behind those eyes, but the smile keeps going. That's Ted Lasso. Emily in Paris, though, now that's a show. I'm going to change up the music, and I'm going to talk about how Emily in Paris is great, because Emily, the central character, is a fucking piece of shit. And that makes it great. What are we feeling? White Lotus. I started White Lotus and I really liked it, but I never actually got round to finishing even the first series. It's another show I need to finish. I need to finish fucking Hannibal. I've got like 2 episodes of Hannibal left. I need to finish Legion. I need to finish White Lotus. I just started watching Mad Men. Oh, what a show that is. That's great. I think I watched the first episode of Mad Men 2 nights ago, and I think that might be one of the best first episodes of TV I've ever watched. It was great. It was efficient. It was wonderful. You knew who all the characters were, and it was also like it set up so much, and you're like, yeah, this is a fucking TV show. This shit's great. And also, fuck man, John Hamm's hot. You're watching it and you're going, Jesus Christ, John Hamm. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. It's just like, fucking hell. That's great. Yeah, I started watching Mad Men because my brother and his partner were talking about it, and we're just like, yeah, it's great. And I was like, and it's on Netflix, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, might as well. I watched a couple of episodes of Foundation, but I found Foundation kind of messy and a bit like, I was just watching it and going, what's going on here? What's happening? Who are you? And I don't care. I watched a couple of first of the episodes of the Dune TV show, and that was bad. That was not good. It looked like it looked like a porn parody of Dune. Like all the sets and costumes. It was like, yeah, this looks like a porn parody of, like, you know, Paul Atreides. You know, Paul Atreides, he's got those fucking, you know. I'm gonna play some fucking music. Fuck. Almost got that there. do like this, but I think because I think this next, I think I'm gonna, after I've chatted about Emily in Paris, I think I'm gonna wind down. So I might make a wee winding down song instead of this. I do quite like it. It's quite cool. It's kind of like a sort of neo soul disco stuff. I like that. It's a fun track, but I think we're gonna stay with something a bit more sort of. I'm gonna make something a bit more relaxed to end off in. gonna play Strokes. I don't want to be sued by the Strokes. You know the Strokes watch this stream, just wait. The Strokes are always on my fucking back, waiting for me to slip up just once, and then they'll get me. You know what they're fucking like. We have something. This is going to be very self-indulgent.
fucked that last one up. Are we ready for the indulgence?
some music to talk about Emily in Paris too. So I watched some Emily in Paris. And I'm not going to talk too long about this because I'll end the stream fairly soon, but I think this is important and valuable to discuss in this format with you, my audience, whom I trust. The thing about Emily in Paris is that Emily is evil. And it's really important when you're watching the show to watch it from the perspective that you're watching someone who is fundamentally a bad person. For example, now, granted, I watched some of this show in French for reasons, but I think I got the gist of it. I like to imbibe. I like to really sort of immerse myself in a culture, which is why I watched Emily in Paris in French. I was not aware that this was known that Emily is evil, but she is evil. So the first thing that happens in this show is Emily, titular character Emily, is that she gets a job in Paris from Chicago, from a marketing firm, and she has a boyfriend who, if I'm going to be honest, has the precise vibes of a Republican senator who would get caught in a gay sex scandal. Everything about him screams gay sex scandal. So, maybe she was a bit justified in the following actions. But the eponymous enemy, Emily, the eponymous enemy, fuck, that is a good band name. No one's allowed that. If I ever start another band, it's going to be called the eponymous enemy. Right? No one's allowed that. You can start a tribute band called the eponymous Emily. You're allowed that, but I'm taking the eponymous enemy. So the eponymous enemy moves to France with this job. Immediately starts flirting with all the French men. Still in a relationship with her gay sex scandal boyfriend. It doesn't last very long, a couple of episodes, but she's 100% trying to fuck like 4 different French guys within the first episode while she's still in her relationship with her, gay sex scandal Republican boyfriend. And she's doing, and you're like, okay, so you are a bad person. Emily, you're a bad person. But the show progresses. She breaks up with her boring ass American fucking Republican boyfriend. I don't know if he's Republican. Again, the vibes. Republican, gay sex scandal vibes. It is very fun to watch, by the way. It is great fun to watch. The production value, trash. Absolutely. You feel like you're watching someone pretending to make a show. The acting, terrible. Awful. The writing, so bad. Everything about it is bad. Not a good show. Great fun to watch. Emily's outfits, by the way, she works for like a fashion fucking modeling agency. Wears just the worst outfits. Like, I think they're supposed to be high fashion, but they are not good. They are bad outfits. They're not. Is this a recounting of Emily in Paris? You bet your fucking ass it's a recounting of Emily in Paris. We did 2 hours of theory. We did 2 hours of theory. We did fucking serious shit. It's time for me to talk about Emily in Paris, the worst / one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. So she wears these terrible outfits. 1 or 2 are okay. Largely, she has this thing for wearing outfits that have cities on them, like watercolor pictures of like Croatian cities for some reason. It's fucking bizarre. I don't know how she got this fucking job in a French fashion fucking firm. I'll tell you that fucking much. It's not even that their costumes, they're bad. They're not good. The fashion's not good. Like the fashion's, her fashion sense is bad. We'll move on from that, but within the sort of coterie of characters, we've got a character whose defining feature is gay, and another character whose defining feature is gay, but also black. Those are their defining features. There's all this shit about French people always smoking and always starting work late, whatever. Who gives a fuck about that shit? She meets this guy in her apartment building, flirting heavily, wants to fuck him, clearly. Flirting, and then she meets this girl who 100% gives off gay vibes. If it was a braver show, it would have them in a sort of love triangle where they're in love with each other. Unfortunately, the love triangle is that, so she kisses this French chef and then goes outside and realizes that the French chef's girlfriend is her other friend, who seems like she's probably gay. But those two are together. And then for 12 episodes, I watched a lot of this show. For about 12 episodes, it's just her continually pining after and kissing her friend's boyfriend. Like the first time you're like, oh, that's a misunderstanding. It's not her fault that she kissed this guy. She didn't know it was her friend's boyfriend. Whatever. But then she does it more times. She keeps going. She's like, oh, fucking go for it again. Kiss him again. Kiss him again. She doesn't seem to have any remorse. She's just like, oh, you're fucking hot and I'm going for it again. And then, in the sort of, I'm the only good Scottish content creator left. As far as I knew, it was only me and Lonerbox, and he's a cunt. So, yay. Sorry, what was this? Yes. So, he, a few episodes later, after she's kissed her friend's boyfriend, her friend and the boyfriend she's kissed go to her friend's family's house, where, and I'm not joking, she has sex with her 17-year-old brother. And any emotional regret over having sex with this child is glossed over very quickly. And then she goes back to breaking up her friend's boyfriend. What she does, they break up, and then I don't know, I stopped watching it at that point because the novelty of watching Emily in Paris. Fuck. Adults. I'm gonna take a brave position. Not that I'm being too woke. To be the friend who's too woke. I don't think adults who are in their 30s should have sex with 17-year-olds. That's my bold declaration. Oh, don't blame this on the French, Matt. This is American. Emily in Paris has nothing to do with the fucking French. This is the Americans having sex with 17-year-olds. This is an American initiative. This is fucking Operation Freedom Flag for the 17-year-olds. This is an American NATO operation to get Phil Collins' daughter to have sex with a 17-year-old. Emily, yeah, like Phil, she's like, I don't know what she's meant to be in the show, but Phil Collins' daughter's like 37 or something. She looks great. She looks fantastic, but she's like in her 30s. What if the children are very mature? Well, so in the show, the mother of the 17-year-old takes Emily aside and essentially says, well, I understand why you would have sex with my 17-year-old son. He's very good at sex. Now, once again, I want to be clear, right? This is the American fantasy about France. This is not France. This is the American fantasy about France. The American fantasy about France is having sex with 17-year-olds and, you know, also constantly kissing your best friend's boyfriend and trying to break up with her. Try to have them break up. It's a weird ass fucking show. It is bizarre. It is a strange little thing. I didn't expect it to be so. It's like watching it's the same. You know that video of the Spanish reality show guy Montoya, where he watches his girlfriend on this reality show have sex with someone else, and it's like, por favor, Montoya, por favor. Emily in Paris has the same vibe as that. It's very similar. So, you know, there's my review of Emily in Paris. God, you should watch it. It's fucking great. Sometimes television just does magic things. Ted Lasso is bad. Ted Lasso is a bad show. It is cynical, boring. Emily in Paris is cynical, but also you feel like it was maybe written by someone who, you know, is a little bit, you know, someone who you maybe would have trouble talking to because they're, you know, keep trying to have sex with 17-year-olds. And that gives it a certain je ne sais quoi, to use the parlance of Emily in Paris. I have not read the Epic of Gilgamesh. That is a wild turn to take. I'm talking about Emily in fucking Paris. I've not read the Epic of Gilgamesh. God, I loved the Montoya shit. I know it's bad. I know it's like not the best thing to be that enraptured by someone having a very bad time on TV. But fuck me, it was so good to watch, wasn't it? The drama, the lightning, the pumping. the interspersed lightning running. The ever increasing rapid pumping. And the host, Montoya, por favor, Montoya. Fuck. Oh, it was so good. What a time. I was going to say something, but I can't remember what it was. Doesn't matter. I think we're going to draw it to an end there. It's been a good stream. I'm glad you all made it. I'm glad I managed to make it through. Migraine has not returned. The wine has improved in flavour since the beginning taste. So, yeah. Unless anyone has any real burning questions that they want to fire at me, we will begin to close it to bring it to a close. Thanks for coming along, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks. Should have a video, hopefully, if not by Sunday, then by sometime next week. And have a good week. I'll leave you as always with the music for a bit longer. One of the main reasons that I am leaving is that I am once again desperate for the toilet, and I have some roast potatoes in the fridge that are screaming my name. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye bye.